Hello everyone, I am the Dark Knight Cosplay and welcome to my initial tutorial video on how to build the Batman tactical suit from the Justice League. Now these videos will work best if you've gotten a hold of my templates beforehand. If not, don't worry, they are available on my Facebook page, links in the description. Feel free to get hold of me afterwards if you want to use that. If not, don't worry, you can still use this video as a guide on how you can build your suit for any future projects that you may have. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. What you'll need to start with is the templates for the chest, underboob and the diaphragm. You'll also need a pen, fabric scissors, cutting tools, strong glue, I prefer Gorilla Gel glue, primer, be it aerosol or liquid, black metallic spray paint, soldering iron and black acrylic paint. Here you've got the EVA foam with the texture side face down because we're going to need to use the templates to draw on the back of it here. Once you're happy with the positioning of the chest piece, be it at a 45-degree angle to the texture design or horizontal, you can then start to draw onto the back. With the underboob, you want to make sure that the narrow end is in the center part of the bottom of the chest piece so that you've got it fitted the right way. Once you're happy with that, then you can start to cut everything out. Once you've got the pieces cut out, you're going to want to start to join the rest of the underboob to the chest piece. To do that, you're going to need to cut a 45-degree angle off the very edge of the back of it, as it will be demonstrated here, so that you can get a nice smooth edge to join everything together. Note that you don't need to cut the 45-degree angle off both edges, you only need to do it off the one, otherwise it's going to be too much for the glue to be able to hold on to, so only go on the one side. When you're happy with that, you're going to need to cut a valley into the back of it again so that you can make sure the whole thing gets rounded off nicely. To do that, you need to cut just over halfway down vertically and then literally about half a centimeter, cut a 45-degree cut into it so that you've then got your valley there. Now that you can start to glue everything in, you don't necessarily need to have these sanded down. These are just the back parts of it here so that you've got everything to glue onto. For reference, the Gorilla Glue I'm using is gel, the green lid, and it holds within 10 seconds. It's very effective. Trim the edges off, do the same on the other side until you have your chest piece. I missed this part out before, but you want to cut another 45-degree angle so that it runs flush with the diaphragm when that comes together later. When you move on to the diaphragm, you'll need to do this with the template to create a smooth line that's got a bit of a curve on it, and then crease the line so that you can then translate that onto the back of the diaphragm, because you want to create a groove into this, or not so much of a groove, but you want to create a bend so that it arches as the diaphragm should do. Similar process to the chest piece, you want to create a valley cut, so you create vertical angle and then 45-degree, creating enough space, and then you can glue the whole thing down and press it together. Glue the piece together as such. Once you've done that, you can then sand down the center of the chest piece to make sure that there's no gaps in it at all, so it's nice and smooth. Glue them down together and then glue that to the diaphragm. For the next bit, you get your soldering iron and you can start to cut in the grooves and the battle scarring as and where you see fit. You can go as little or as heavy as you like, it's entirely up to you. The next part you'll want to do is get a heat gun, heat over the edges so that you can curve it so that it hugs around the chest. I may have skipped a beat here, but I covered the whole thing in aerosol primer, and now what I want to do is cover these gaps with a sealant. This one didn't really work out too well as I'm struggling to get everything I needed out of it, so I switched to a tub base and used a knife to spread it over. Yeah, see that's where I failed, and now I get to the tub base form. This worked a lot better, but if you work well with the spread with the tube, then so be it. But I decided to go with this as it was just a lot easier to handle. This helps to cover up any gaps that may crop up when it comes to having the finished piece. So you want to get this all sealed nice and tight. It's just polyfiller. It works perfectly fine once it's all solid. Next part, we're on to the abs. As you can see, I'm using the black primer this time instead of the spray, as that was pretty bad for me. So in this case here, it is just covering all the abs. It's kind of hard to see, but it is black primer. Once you're happy with that, then go on to further weathering with the soldering iron. Again, probably don't want to get too heavy with this, but if you wish to, that's absolutely fine. You just want to make it look stylish and offset like there have been many times where you've been hit. Onto the metallic spray. As you can see, we're getting everything all covered up here. You can't see it so much on the chest piece because it was grey to begin with, and now it's going to come up in a dull silver this time around. But when you see the whole piece, you'll see what it looks like up close. Now, to start with, I was using this spray and it came out really, really bright, so I wanted to make things a lot darker, which is where this weathering process came in. So what you want is to blackwash it with black acrylic paint and plenty of water. Now, normally you would use 20% black acrylic, 80% water, but that's only if you wanted to highlight some of the crevices. This time around I wanted to go really, really heavy with it, so I did it more about 50-60% acrylic paint, 50% water. Once that whole thing is covered, you then get your paper towels and you start to smear over everything. Well, not smear it so much because then it won't lighten up at all. So you want to get a new bit of paper towel, keep going over the edges to make sure it doesn't have a chance to dry up before you wipe it all off, and it should give you a very dark, very titanium looking steel, as you can see here as it's finished. The key with this black wash is that you need to time it just right so that the paint doesn't have too much of a chance to dry, but not so quickly that you've literally wiped off the whole thing. Now, the good thing with the texture design on the top is that it holds a lot of the black color to it. Repeat the process on the abs until you've got the desired finish. Moving on to the backing, you'll need 1mm black craft foam. Find the space you need so that you're not using up too much space. Glue them down until you're happy with it. Cut them out, leaving 2mm of space overlapping the edge. Now, using my first suit as reference, I'm going to be taking a look at where the bolts sit on the armour so that I can pinpoint them for the new armour. Okay, we're looking at it again now. Yes, very good. We all know where they are now. Okay, let's get going. Taking the soldering iron, heat it up, looking at the armour, looking at the pads, looking at the armour, look at the pads, look at the armour, look at the pads. Okay, here we go. Drawing in the first hole, making easy work, because it just burns right the way through. Make sure the entry hole is as good as the exit hole because the bolts is the same thickness on each side. Once you know exactly where you want them to be, draw in with confidence. And before you go on to the other side, you want to make sure you've got a mirrored look by putting them on the back of each other, and then you can make the first mark with the soldering iron as seen here so that you can make an exact copy onto the other side. Now, unfortunately, the footage of me putting the bolts in was lost, so I'll have to show you the finished product of what they look like a few jumps ahead of time. This is what the bolts look like on the top of the chest piece and with the abs, bringing us onto the back, which is what you'll need to draw out next. Now, for this, there wasn't a template for it, so don't worry if you don't think you've got it. What you need to do is to rest it onto a piece of backing EVA foam, rest them how you want them to be, and then draw an outline around the 1/2 of the suit, which should give you 1/2 of a template that looks like this. Now, you can use this to turn onto both sides so that you've got an even template for the chest piece. You notice how the outside was missing from the chest, so that the chest curves round and you don't need the extra materials getting in the way. Once you're happy with the shape of it, draw it out onto both sides, cut it out, lay the chest piece down on the top, and now you need to start cutting out grooves. But to begin with, we want to put the silver backing behind the abs. So I've spray painted it down, adding more black acrylic to it as a black wash so I can wipe it off and give that stainless steel texture look to it. Once I'm happy with how it looks, I can start to glue the chest piece down. But before I do that, I need to cut a few grooves in so that the backing can rest flush against the rest of the chest piece and the abs. So to do that, I need to make a few markings down for where the grooves of the chest piece are, for where the curvature of it is, so that I can cut the outline of it down. So as you can see there, I've got the first cut. Now I'm going to do it onto the other side so that it creates a bit of an S-bend. Give it there nice and quick with a knife. So there we have the S-bend. Now we can start to glue the chest piece down. Make sure it lines up all nice and flush. There may be a few imperfections here and there, but it shouldn't matter too much in the long run. Once that's held down, I can then line up the abs. And this concludes the initial chest piece. There's still a lot more work to do. There's still the emblem to cut out and the clips too. They're made of both the same material, neoprene rubber. But in the next video, as you can see here, we've got the clips and the straps to go onto the back and to the shoulders as well. But in the next video, I'll be taking you over how to make the shoulder pads and the knees and the legs as well. See, we've got the straps for that, and then we've also got the leg armor as well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was some help to you. See you next time.